Hi everyone, welcome to this third industry workshop from the IEEE Student Branch PES chapter. Today we have SIA Partners, that is a consulting. They like to call them the next gen consulting firm. And yeah, thanks for coming, and for all the people here, they will present themselves. So I won't bother you long, we are already late. Thanks for joining again. I hope you liked the brooches.
Thank you very much, Giacomo. And many thanks to all of you. So we are very happy that at least we're a bit outnumbered, that there are a bit more people in the audience than consultants that are going to present the firm. So many thanks for your attendance. And Giacomo also told me that there are some people online. So welcome to all of you. As Giacomo said, we are a next-gen consulting firm. These are a couple of our finest consultants that join me in presenting the firm. Let me now give the mic to one of my dear friends and colleagues, Arthur Bayens. Joined the company a bit after me, if I'm not mistaken, and he works mostly in the Netherlands in data science, but he has many qualities of which he is going to convince you in just a couple of seconds. So here you go, Arthur.
Thanks, Danielle. Hi, everyone. I see there's still arriving people. So, I'll be able to do this. Let's see. Yes, okay, perfect. I'll wait a minute or two till everybody's seated, but we can already start. So, Danielle already introduced me. My name is Arthur. You'll see me over there. I have a bachelor's, master's in law and economics. I thought to myself, well, what can I do now here at the KU Leuven? I didn't feel like I had actual skills, so I did an actual other master's in business analytics, where I got all my experience and skills in data science and so on. And I'm very happy that I did that, because now in my job I'm able to combine mostly my work in consulting in the energy and utilities field with a strong data approach. And you'll see that coming back through our presentation. That's why we pride ourselves on the whole next-gen consulting firm. So we are consultants. We are doing what a lot of consulting firms are doing, but we tend to pride ourselves on the extra bit of new technology that we allow to introduce and to make our work better. With that being said about myself, I'll pass the mic quickly to the other consultants so they can give a sentence or two about themselves.
Thank you, Arthur. Yeah, I'm Elisa. I joined SIA Partners, I think 1.5 years ago, or a little bit more. It's my first job, and I'm still doing it, so it means I really like it. Before, I studied also at the KU Leuven. I studied business engineering, so it's not this campus, never been here, but it's nice to see. And after my studies of business engineering, I did a master's in international management at Vlerik Business School. And then I joined SIA Partners as a consultant in the energy and utilities business unit.
Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Dankaert. I'm the fourth one in the row. As you can see, Pia is not here today, which is very unfortunate. I am an engineer graduate from the KU Leuven, such as you guys will be soon. I have also participated in student consulting organizations and in the solar team, which some of you might be familiar with. And after graduating, I spent a year at Colruyt Group, which is a big Belgian retailer, in their energy and transport R&D department. And then I decided to take the step into consulting. And so since September of 2021, I joined SIA Partners as a consultant. I like the job a lot. You get a lot of different fields within the energy sector to work in, or in other sectors if you're interested in those, but I chose to go for energy. And yeah, so far it's been a blast. I really like it, and I love the colleagues as well. And I will give the mic to one of my favorite colleagues over there, Bert.
Thank you, Thomas. So I'm Bert. I joined SIA Partners 2 years ago. I studied business engineering at KU Leuven. Besides everyone else, I didn't do a after graduate year. I just joined SIA as a junior consultant. So 2 years ago, also in the energy department. I've done projects for multiple clients, for energy retailers mainly. I've also done projects in other sectors for SIA Partners, in the retail sector more specifically. But yeah, we will get the chance later on to talk about that. I think I can give the mic to Danielle, or... I wasn't in the room back then.
So now that we've done the necessary introduction, so you have a little bit of information about us. Don't worry if you want to know other stuff about our job or whatever. Feel free after the presentation to ask us every question you would like to know the answer to. So after presenting ourselves, let's get a little bit about SIA Partners, because SIA Partners is a growing consulting firm, but still we are not the biggest name on the block. So let me give you a short introduction. Worldwide, we have about 2,800 consultants in 45 offices in 19 countries. So we are part here of the BNE hub. We are one hub with the Netherlands. But SIA is there present in the whole world. You have some turnovers. And then more interesting is, so about this next gen thing, we focus really hard on also having in-house capabilities that go a bit beyond the purely consulting work. And one of the things we do that is we have specialized AI centers, where you also have just data scientists where we work with that are not consultants. So there is a mix between data science and consulting, what I'm doing, but we also have pure data scientists who support the business, build products in a very technical way that can then enhance our projects. In the same way, we have design centers where you have full-time designers that help us with UI, UX, and so on to make the projects have that extra little touch, that extra edge. About 1,000 clients worldwide, of which most are recurring. So we work in the energy sector. There's only that amount of, for example, energy providers. We pride ourselves that after we finish one project, they ask us to come back. So that about that. We also invest in our own R&D, so build products next to our purely consulting projects. Again, built on those AI centers, those design centers. And I checked yesterday, I believe we had 237,039 followers on LinkedIn. I'll hope that, I don't know how much you are, after this presentation, there will be a couple more at least. That would be great and helpful, and then you can learn a little bit more about the company in the meantime in a nice way. That being said, one time on this whole idea that we are next gen, so on the company, we call it the industry reboot. So we work in the classic industries, but we try to approach it in a new way. That is in our expertise in transformation, so really bring the companies to a next level. You have the Consulting 4.0, which I come into contact a lot in my daily life. So really go from everything from including metaverse, crypto, and so on within the projects, and actually have skills there, so it's not just empty marketing. The consulting by design is really to have on the design centers to really have that extra touch as well. And then finally, which I think is also quite important, we have a whole part of our jobs that is consulting for good, we call. So we're very active as energy consultants, especially in the whole sustainability field, where we do projects or we try to implement the extra sustainable step in our projects. And that could be both environmentally sustainable, but we also take a look in socially sustainable projects. For example, water poverty, energy poverty, which is right now a big topic with inflation and the whole energy crisis. So that's part of our job, everybody does it, and part of our projects we try to implement that. That being said, so that was SIA from a high-level overview, a bit more into detail. I think the perfect person to do that is Danielle. I'll give you the word.
Thank you so much, Arthur. So now that you had a general flavor of what SIA Partners stands for and what we do in different sectors, different activities, let's come more down to earth or closer to our home. The BNE Hub, so Arthur already mentioned it, the Belgium-Netherlands Hub, is working or was instigated, launched in 2006, so a bit more than 15 years ago. SIA started a Brussels office, and since then it kept on growing. So now we are with 4 offices in the BNE Hub, so Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Antwerp, and Brussels. So if you like to work not that far from Leuven city, you have the choice between 4 locations. They work very, very closely together. So, like already mentioned, Arthur works a lot in Antwerp, but we also go out and visit potential clients all over the border and in working very closely with our Dutch colleagues. The BNE Hub is very famous and notorious for its energy and data science competencies. So Arthur already mentioned the many different countries, offices, continents that we are populating, but the BNE Hub together with Paris is mostly known for its energy expertise and its data science. So if that is something of interest to you, you are really located in the right spot. Next to that, we can make use of and exploit the knowledge and the expertise from our fellow SIA colleagues, for example, in Milan, for example, in UK, in Ireland, all over Europe, in fact. So if you have to do, for example, a benchmark of distribution system operators, it's very easy to come into contact with other European offices. As already said, growth is really in our DNA. We started, or 2 years ago, we were with 100 consultants in the BNE Hub, but aiming to reach 200 by the end of 2023. 200, so that's a big growth. And in our Brussels office, we are severely expanding and taking over the fitness on the ground floor, but also new offices in the building very close to the Toison d'Or. Clients mentioned on the right-hand side of this slide. For the energy geeks amongst you, you may recognize a lot of them. So the TSOs, both natural gas as electricity, are big clients of us, but also agencies like VECA, the Flemish Energy and Climate Agency, is a client. You have distribution system operators like Sibelga, Ores, Fluvius. We did a big project for Fluvius. Also abroad, Gasunie, TENET, we have projects up and running there. And then you have the collaborations with our French colleagues for GRT Gas and others. So also multinational firms and very small SMEs are part of our client portfolio. So enough said on this. If you have any questions, do not hesitate. Otherwise, I think we can now jump into something more interactive. So we prepared a case study on floating offshore wind. So to make you work a bit, so to trigger your brain and crack a certain case that we also executed and that we also were involved in or that we also studied. It's on offshore wind, floating offshore wind in Japan. My fellow colleagues are going to present it to you, and the purpose is that we have an interactive discussion and that you get a flavor of what real consulting is. So which kind of problems, which kind of questions are important, how do you go about in solving a case like that, in cracking the code. So hope you will enjoy it. Good luck, and I give the mic to Bert.
So Danielle already introduced the case to you. Is everyone in the room familiar with the concept of a business case. Maybe it's a stupid question, but just want to make sure. Okay. Then let's go into the context. It's double slide. So the context of the business case is that you should be in the shoes of a consultant. So your client is RWE. It's an international energy company, and they are aiming at. They're currently active in Europe, and they're aiming at expansive growth in the coming years. And for that growth, they want to see if it's possible to expand their business to Japan for a focus on offshore wind, and more specifically on floating wind, so windmills that are floating around before the shoreline, before in the ocean. And the objective of the case, so for you guys as consultants, is to evaluate the attractiveness of the Japanese market and make sure that it's a good investment for the company to go on that market and to start developing floating wind. Also, the final goal, the final conclusion of the case would be to give a go or no go to the board of directors from RWE. So that's a bit the context. And next slide. Yep. Is that more or less clear to everyone? Any questions? Don't hesitate to thanks to ask questions. Huh? What we typically do as consultants, it's a general approach in consulting when you have to tackle a business case of this kind, is that you start from a framework, so a structure to keep in mind, in the back of your mind, that helps you to structure the whole exercise and to come to a final conclusion in the end. And the framework that we will apply on this case, or that is applied a lot in consulting, is an issue tree. Anyone heard before of the concept of an issue tree? So very briefly, an issue tree helps you in structuring one question of a business case. So the main question of, if I go back in the slides, the main question was, can I point? Oh yeah, here. So the main question is, should RWE, our client, should we go for the investment in Japan on the floating wind? Yes or no? That's the main question of the business case, and it's very broad. So you can go in any direction with this question. So an issue tree is a tool to help you structure your thoughts and your analysis. So if we go to the next slide, we see that on the far left, we see that one big question: should RWE enter the Japanese market with floating wind? What we typically do in such a business case is look at three important pillars. So, wait, I'm going a bit too fast. Let's head back to the concept of an issue tree as such. So an issue tree helps you to structure the business case. And as you can see, we're already creating 3 branches in the first step. And the point of an issue tree is to go as far as possible until you reach, as far as possible in the tree structure, until you reach a level of detail where you just have to collect some data, or to ask a question to someone, and to get the information that helps you build your solution tree. And your solution tree is basically, creating a solution for your issue tree. So starting from the far right, the lowest level of detail, and going back to your main question of the investment go no go decision. An important, and that's the last theoretical thing of an issue tree I will mention, but an important aspect or an important criteria of an issue tree is that it should be messy. MECE being MECE, stands for mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. So the point behind that is that actually you should be able to cover the whole scope of your assignment in that issue tree. So it should be collectively exhaustive, but it should be mutually exclusive as well. There cannot be any overlap in your issue tree. So when you go deeper down into your tree, there cannot be any overlap with another branch into your tree. So that's a bit the theoretical concept of an issue tree. So when I'm imagine I'm the client, I'm RWE, and I'll ask you guys as consultants, should I go onto the market of floating wind in Japan? Those three main pillars are things that you should look into as a consultant. So there's the market attractiveness. Is there an interesting market in Japan? Yes or no? There's the company, so RWE ourselves. And are there any external risks and barriers? And what I will ask you guys now is to, we will give you like 5-10 minutes to think about building further down this issue tree into more specific details, so more criteria, I would say, and try to be MECE, mutually exhaustive. No, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive, sorry, and to make sure that you reach a level of detail that is sufficiently granular. And to help you, we already gave you the first step. So think about what should we include in the market attractiveness, what should we include in the company itself, and in the risk and barriers. Thomas, Elisa, Arthur, and I, we will walk around a bit to help you structure it. But let's first think 5 minutes yourself and to think about how you could structure it. Has everyone had the chance to create an issue tree themselves? Was it a bit clear? Did it work out for you guys to try to divide the big problem into smaller sub problems? Okay, top. For the market attractiveness, so for the top branch, what are typically things that you guys thought about or that you wrote down into your issue trees when tackling the problem? Any suggestions from your side? Okay. Okay. And by the way, can everyone hear me like this? Or no? Okay. For me, that's really an important one. But we will tackle it later on in the case again. But it's a point of discussion. You could see it in the markets, but you could also see it in another branch, in my opinion. But it's a very valid point, and it's really something that the company RWE should look into. Anyone else? Yeah. Well, that's yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's indeed one of the biggest and most important parts of the investment decision is the size of the market. Is there a market? First question: is there a market? If yes, what's the size? And what else is very strongly related to market size that could also influence your decision? Yeah, that's the market size. Yeah, but I guess you will look into that's part of the market size. The competition, yeah. How fierce is the competition? Are there players on the market that have such a technological advantage to us that it's impossible to reach their level, and it's just okay, let's not go into the market. And you have competition, you have the current size, but you will invest now for the future. What makes it also important? Growth. Voilà. That's for me. That's how we try to solve the case is that we saw. Can you press the?
I think it's because the chat is. Try again.
Technical issue. So here exactly the three things that we mentioned: the current size, the trends and the growth, and the competition. So these are three main things that you should look into. We can go deeper into detail on the competition, where we can say, okay, how is the market share division on the market? What are the players? Do they have an advantage, like I mentioned, on the technological aspect or more on a financial aspect? Do they have more means to invest? Those are things that should be looked into before going into a market. When we look at the company, the RWE as such, the company themselves, what are things that you guys came up with when solving the three? That's a very important one. Yeah, that's one. Someone else.
It's like, what is the best part for the RWE?
The question is, so we look into three main things. We look into what is the attractiveness of the market. Is our own company, RWE, suitable to go into this market? And when we look into that second question, so is the company suitable? Are we ready to go into the market? What are things that we should look into? And one of the things was, is there enough capital and expertise to go into the market? Capability, yeah, exactly.
Relations with the region that we want.
Sorry?
Relations with the region that we want.
Yeah.
If you have like
You have the technical expertise, you have expertise of the cultural expertise, I would call it, maybe. It's also a good one. When we look into more details in the company branch, we indeed see its investment. Are we ready for investing some floating windmills? It's not like it's 10 euros. It's a very intensive investment, so are we ready for that? And do we have the capabilities? And you already mentioned like the cultural expertise, the technological expertise. So these are things that come back into the next branch when we go a bit more into detail. We see, okay, we have the pointer. Do we have the technical expertise? Do we also have the financial expertise? Do we have enough? Enough means financially to do the investment? And we could even do a third branch with the cultural expertise, like you mentioned. It's not in the case, but when you do a job interview or when you do a typical for the client service kind of assignments, it's really good to mention as well. For the investment profitability, I would say keep it in mind. It could be of use in the next coming half an hour. There, it's important to look at, of course, investments is based on revenues and costs. What are your revenues expected then? Or yet, but what are the expected costs? What are the expected revenues? Your investment. When your investment profitability is positive, it's of course a good sign that you could move into the market. Final branch, the risk and barriers. It's more of a fluid. I would say it's not as clear as a market attractive as a company, but are there specific things that you thought of that would fit into this bottom branch? Is there a risk for disaster, natural? Yeah. You wouldn't invest in a country that is a dictatorship or to how stable your country is like you have your political risk, but very often it's connected with each other. It's like the currency risk, because it's a European country, they go into a Japanese market, so they have to invest in these yen. So if this currency is very fluctuating, be a negative, have a negative impact on their ability. So that's also one. Anyone else has suggestions? Yeah, good one.
They're international. The local don't.
That's a super good one as well. Yeah, it's it was mentioned in the capabilities as well, but it's like related more or less, but it's their cultural risk, cultural fit with the country where we want to invest. Really a good one. So indeed, so we have entry barriers and macroeconomic risks. When we dive deeper into the macroeconomic risks, I think we all mentioned them. So the risk for natural disasters, the risk for political currency related problems, and also cultural fit is something that's definitely also So this is how you would structure the issue tree. Any questions from your side? And I will give the word to Elisa. Going to the next part of the case.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, this is typically something we do at the beginning of a project, or even before you start the project with the client. You see, okay, we have an issue, and we will solve it like this. And then what we do during the project is really solving each branch, each question that we raised here, or each thing that we mentioned that we would like to investigate. We investigate it during the project, and we come up with a solution, or we see how that would influence our final, the first question that we actually want to answer, and that is the enter the market. Today we don't have time to dive into every detail of the tree, but we would like to dive a little deeper into one branch of the tree, the investment profit. So that will be the next step, and we would like to ask you to have a deeper look at. So yeah, of course, RWE will only be interested in investing in that floating wind if it renders positive profits. If it's a loss-making project, they will never do it. So that's something very important for a company to see if it's profitable or not. And again, what we will do is we will tackle that question: is this a profitable investment by an issue tree? We already mentioned some of the branches, but we can dive in more deeper, and that will be the next question. So we would like to ask you again, with the help of an issue, to assess the profitability of investing in one or building one floating wind turbine in the seas of Japan. So you saw up front, you will have to investigate revenues, bring the costs that it will bring the next years, and there will also be an upfront cost. So there, try to do the same as we did before. Try to draw this issue tree and try to make some assumptions or use your knowledge on floating wind to come up with some numbers, and we will walk around again to help you with this.
This could help you in structuring it first. So we are now looking in the investment profitability. So use this as inspiration for building further. What are now exactly revenues and costs?
typical one we'll go over it later. It's
The thing is, like, it is that functional in open. That is the thing,
like
what I was thinking, like, yeah, okay, to build this floating thing in Japan is nice because they have deep sea. Maybe they have wind, which is good.
It's an island, of course it has wind.
Yeah. But the problem is because that's because they build it by earning from. Then we need to assess
It's the typical electricity price.
yeah, in this case we don't go that deep, but that's something that or you negotiate it or it's a
Yeah, okay. But I would go the PPA.
take it as a
Have a stable income. So if we don't have a PPA, like, how are we going to earn money? If we don't charge a specific price.
to be honest, I don't know whether it's something that you have to invest in what we do for this case. People that work on it, but
I don't know. It's a worldwide thing.
okay, maybe like one more minute because we don't have that much time, so try to
So you only have, let's say, one supplier. Okay.
and then it's like you talk to them and you set a price and it's like 10 years.
You have to pay that price. It's not like someone else can come.
No, they don't pay you. So let's say, okay, 1 megawatt is this price. 1 megawatt is 60.
Yeah, okay. That's the concept of the PPA. It's the same. We somehow need to calculate the PPA price depending on the electricity price. We have to select what's the actual electricity price in Japan, and according to that, we set our PPA. To actually work out.
okay. Let's go over it. Was it hard? Did you find? Did you come up with how to get an issue tree and then maybe already some numbers? I don't know if you have the time. In general, was it hard? These kinds of things. Okay, let's see. Okay, so yeah, we already mentioned. Yeah, we already mentioned we will have to look into what are the expected revenues, what are the expected costs, the running costs, and are costs that recur every year if we operate the wind turbine 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, depending on what is the lifetime of a wind turbine. That are costs that we will have to pay every year. So we'll have to take it into account to know what will it be profitable or not. Same for the revenues. We produce wind, and we will be able to sell the energy produced from that wind. We will be able to sell it every year, which will bring us revenues. So that are the expected recurring revenues. And we will have the initial cost, the cost of just putting that floating wind turbine in the seas of Japan. I will not show the next slide because it's too much information. But let's start with the revenues. The expected revenues, how would you calculate it? If someone asks operated approximately 20 years, I think is used in the case, then you will come to the profit. I will not show it yet because we will also reveal the costs. So let's first have a look at the costs. Let's focus on these recurring costs. What are recurring costs you think you need to take into account when you operate this or this wind farm? Yeah, exactly. Leasing costs or rental costs or things like that. Other costs. Maintenance, yeah, indeed, you will have to do some maintenance every year or every month, whatever, on the wind turbine. Other things. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Insurance, that of course it will depend, how much it is and if it's on a monthly basis. If it can be a fixed cost or a variable cost, but typically those things need to be heavily insured because there are quite some risks involved. On the other hand, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point because that's what we call a risk margin. That's a risk margin that you can take into account for risical cost for issues that might occur but that you cannot foresee right now. So it's a very good point. Yeah. Yeah.
The compensation cost for the local bit, I don't.
Yeah, I know what you mean because it's an externality. That's how it's an externality, and then to compensate the people, to give them something. Yeah, it can be on a yearly basis again, depending on how many people there are. That is something that you first will have to investigate. Okay, how is it working indeed in the market there, and then you have to compensate accounts. Yeah.
Interest.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, you have the interest costs and the cost, everything related to the funding of the project. But that's typically something that we don't really see into, like what is the profitability of a turbine. That's more of the whole project. That's not if you look at just solely one turbine that we will. Maybe voila, that's what we came up with. I think we covered most of it, especially for the sales or the revenues. What we said, if we go all the way right on the lowest branch, you will have we need to know the capacity of the turbine, how many hours there are in a year, and the utilization factor because as said, not produce it throughout the whole year. Then we will know what will be the energy produced on a yearly basis times the average price of energy, and there again you forecast because years the price fluctuates. So we try to take that into account, and then the number of years that will bring us to the sales, and then you have the costs. The cost we already said before. You have the upfront costs, the capital expenditure, which is investment costs. So we calculated it by doing the cost per megawatt, and then we know what is the capacity of the turbine, which will give you the total investment costs. And then we have the running costs, which is called the OPEX in consulting terms, the operating expenses. We calculated on a yearly basis. Here, they have fixed costs, things you have to pay every year, like the leasing of the sea, for example. The fixed costs on a yearly basis that you need to pay. Insurances as well. And then you have the variable costs at the operating and maintenance costs, which is more something depending on how much energy you use, how big the turbine. And then we are able to come. We don't have time to calculate it all. We calculated it for you. Not go through details. Yeah, indeed, that could be if there are subsidy schemes given out by the government. It's something that you can put in depends on how the subsidies are given. If it's like something upfront that they help you with, just initial investment, or will they give you a subsidy on a yearly basis? Depending on that, you will have to incorporate it into the investment costs, or like the investments that you just deducted, or you see it as a recurring revenue.
This is a way to calculate it. The only with subsidy branch. The way that we do this on the lifetime of the wind turbine, the 20 years. What you also do is keep those 20 years out of there and divide the capex by 20 years. It's just a way of structuring things to make it clear for yourself and clear for others. Issue tree is not necessarily the only.
And then if you would have calculated it, you would come to profit of 9 million euros over the lifetime of 20 years. What conclusion would you take out of it? If we just ignore the taxes for a moment, if we just have, we calculate that over 20 years, this will give the company 9 million euros for one wind turbine. A good thing, right? Something that will be in favor of the final decision. See, we go back to should they invest? We now only looked at the investment profitability, but we saw the investment profitability will render 9 million euros per wind turbine that we will put to the sea. So it's something that would bring us to the conclusion. If we would only have that factor, we could say that yes, they should invest because it will for the next one. And then, if you of course look into every step, there might be things that are not in favor of investment decision, and then in the end, you have to outweigh how many branches were in favor, how many branches were not in favor, which are the very critical factors and the less critical factors. Of course, you can imagine investment profitability is one of the most factors because if it's negative profit, the company will never be interested to invest. But there, you have to use your own assessment, how you would outweigh all the cover. Got to your final So, I think this wraps up our case. Voila. Something then in the end, when you give your conclusion, we didn't have time to calculate the market size, but we would have done that. We would a little less than 50 gigs. Positive stability, and then there were some other factors going to the discount barrier. But this would bring us, in case it would be a favorable thing. Any questions about the case? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, very valid point. Yeah, what we typically do is always, it all depends on the time and how much time you do something like this. Try to also work with scenarios. So you have a best case scenario, worst case scenario, and the optimal or the most likely scenario to take into account those. Indeed, we now say, okay, it will have a utilization factor of 30%, might be very bad conditions, which makes it lower, which makes it or might be better. So there you have indeed some estimations that you do, some forecasts, and if you have the time, you can always do a best case and a worst case scenario to like the boundaries and to see, okay, maybe even in the worst case scenario, we still have a positive profit. So that would be very in favor. Very good.
It could also be used to set like a minimal level of some factor that you want that's variable. Okay, if you say that
this only was intended to give you a flavor of what consulting might look like. But in the end, so each and every assumption that we take can be an analysis on its own. So we already talked about data science, so for the moment we are also building a model for one of the TSOs on estimating certain prices and stuff. So yeah, this is rather a high level, quick and dirty analysis, if I may say it like that. But like Elisa already mentioned, it all depends on the commissioner, on the duration of the mission, on what exactly he's after. Then we can go into as much detail or as high level as possible. But this is to give you a flavor of stuff we encounter in our. I think it's almost 2 o'clock, so I want to thank you very much for your attendance here, for your interest in the firm, in the company, in our presentation. I think we still have time for 1 or 2 more general questions if somebody has a really urgent question. But otherwise, do not hesitate even afterwards to drop us a line. I think our mail addresses are shown, but certainly by Giacomo. So if you want to reach out for whatever, I also heard about stages or internships or whatever. So do not hesitate to contact us. We're more than happy to see you coming. So let's make or let's reach that 200 number of workforces. So we'll be happy to accommodate that with some of the finest engineers at the KU Leuven. So many thanks and good luck with the exams.